gentlemen, you know that song, you know the sound, that means it's the weekend, and as always, it's time for the James Freel Show. I am your host, James Freel, and as always, I am very happy to have you with me. Last week I thought was a decent show, and I'm going to try to keep that momentum going for the rest of this week. How's your week been going? How was it? Mine was okay. It was a little long. I'm finally back from Cleveland, and I was hoping to do this show with my own microphone, not the one that's attached to my laptop here. I know I'm kind of into the bad quality sound. I think it makes my show sound a little more, I don't know what the word is, a little more, vintage isn't the right word because it's not like it's old or anything. A little more just, it reflects the level of talent and the level of effort that I put forth into it. But anyway, I hope that your weekend has gone well. Yeah, I'm not weekend. I mean, I'm doing this on Saturday for the first time in a while. I think the past 2 weeks I really cut it to the limit here. The past few I did right on Sunday night, and that's when it gets like I always say weekend when I'm describing this show. So if I were to upload it after that, that would just be too far. So I'm sort of reining it in here, bringing it back in a little more than it was before. I don't know, maybe sometime soon I'll wind up putting this back the way it should be every Friday. And maybe the sound quality won't be so horrible in the future. Who knows? But that's talk for another time. Time to jump into the show. I've hyped it up already. But before I start rambling, let's go ahead and hop into news for the uninformed. So, our top story this week, the cathedral in Notre Dame burned down on Monday. That happened the morning after I did last week's show, so that's what everyone was talking about. And it really did go through sort of a phase that I'm beginning to see with these tragedies. I don't mean to attack people who were sympathetic, but it really did kind of feel like everyone started bragging about their vacation that they took to the cathedral. Like, my news feed on Twitter and everything was just like, so glad I was able to see it before it burned down. I'm so glad. It was so amazing. I'll be honest, I'm not Catholic. I didn't know it really existed before now, unless, was that the thing where the one dude who walked between the Twin Towers, did he walk through that? I don't know. And then everyone started criticizing how rich people were pledging money to fix it and saying, this proves that the wealthy could solve the world's problems if their priorities were in the right place. And I'm not saying we don't need more charity, but I'm skeptical of the claim that if you took all of the money that was pledged to it and gave it to everyone in poverty, I don't think that would sustainably solve the problem. I just think solutions to the world's issues are a little more complicated than the whole rich people are evil mentality would suggest. But I could be wrong. I'm just an idiot talking into my laptop who then uploads it onto the internet for some reason, so why would you care what I have to say about it? Why would I care about what I have to say about it? I don't know. Can you tell I've had some coffee today? In sports, the Tampa Bay Lightning set a record by winning the Presidential Cup, tied for the most wins in NHL history in one season, and then went on, and the only team to do that and then go on to not win a single game in the playoffs. The Columbus Blue Jackets swept them 4-0. That's quite a shocker. It's not like the Tampa Bays are cursed. Didn't they win a cup back in 2002 or something? I believe the Columbus Blue Jackets are now, they won their first series. That became the joke. It's like, oh, you guys haven't even won a series. And I've said before, I live in Cincinnati. I don't have a hockey team in the city, and the Columbus is the one nearest by. But I've always kind of had a soft spot for the Bruins. I don't know why, I just sort of liked their color scheme. But living close to Columbus, that allows me to hop on and off their bandwagon, right? I gotta say, the NHL really does seem to have expanded quite a bit over the past decade. I mean, in high school, it was rare to hear somebody talk about it was rare to hear them talk about hockey, and now it's pretty commonplace. I enjoy Stanley Cup playoff hockey. That's really the only time I watch it. It's hard for me to get into it during the regular season, even if the standings are tough. I couldn't name all 30. Oh, I think there are 32. You see, look at that. I don't even know how many teams there are, and I could probably only name maybe 10 at the most. San Jose Sharks, I think. Columbus Blue Jackets, Detroit Red Wings, Chicago Red Hawks, Blackhawks, I don't know. The Washington Nationals, Boston Bruins, Pittsburgh Penguins, Nashville Predators. Is that all I got? New York Rangers, New York Islanders. Does LA have a hockey team? It sounds like they should. The Philadelphia Flyers. I don't even know how many that is. I should be able to name all 30 baseball teams, but I don't even know if I could do that. So, not even gonna try. But hey, I might be jumping on the Columbus Blue Jackets bandwagon. So look out below. Your bandwagon's getting a little more, and I'll have to own it, of course. If they were to go to the Stanley Cup Finals and I were cheering them on, I would have to totally, I couldn't talk any smack, or if I did, I'd have to own the fact that, I'm not really a real fan, so do with that information what you will. And in pop culture, James Holzhauer is setting one record after another as a contestant on Jeopardy by taking risks even the greatest players in the game's history admit would be too much for him. In only 10 episodes, the professional gambler has the four single highest totals in show's history and has racked up $697,787 through Wednesday's episode. He's thinking about the game in a whole different way, and I never would have had the stomach to make some of those bets he's making. 34 has, needless, less than 2 weeks, moved into second place all-time earnings, who had 2.5 million. I want to know what's he's doing. Being lightning quick with the buzzer, Holzhauer has employed unorthodox strategies like fully doubling down whenever he finds a daily double, starting from the bottom of the board to hunt the big money first. In one game, he doubled down by risking more than $48,000 in winnings, but it's no shock that he has an appetite for risk considering he's a professional sports gambler in Las Vegas. He also makes daily double and Final Jeopardy wagers with personal meaning. He wagers $9,812 because he got married on September 8th of 2012, and bets $11,914 because it corresponds with his daughter's birthday. Family is important to Holzhauer, who has made sure to shout out his late granny during every Final Jeopardy because he first grew in love with the show as a kid by watching it with her. It also helps that he has a head full of trivia knowledge and has shown in Wednesday night's record-setting episode Holzhauer turned in the Jeopardy version of a perfect game by giving the correct questions as answers to all 41 responses he fielded. He won $131,127 to set a single-game Jeopardy record, beating his own previous record of $110. The single high prior is current of 77. Roger Holzhauer has worked hard, but inside the ringers. He added that practicing his skills on the buzzer make practice of masking it. Yeah, it's an interesting story. I don't want to sit here and just read the rest of it. I'm sure I just bored you out of your mind by listening to that. But that's that's probably the longest news for the uninformed I've done. We're already 9 minutes in. So, on to the rambling section. I did spend last week was my second week in Cleveland. And I gotta say, I'm really glad to be home. One extraordinarily frustrating aspect is I know I came home last weekend. 2 out of the 4 trips I had, like one direction from Cincinnati to Cleveland, it was raining. And that was extraordinarily frustrating because when you're just sitting down on a scale of 1 to 10 and you got nothing going on, you're at a level 1 of stress, which is nothing. When you're driving on the interstate, I'd say that elevates to a 5 or a 6, but when it's heavily raining and when you're going 70 miles per hour, I think that elevates it up to like an 7 or an 8, or possibly a 9 in some situations. And part of me really wanted to sit there and enjoy the drive back, because if you have a good podcast or a good audiobook to listen to on the way, which I did. I listened to Killing Reagan again. Great, just really interesting to hear the president's life being told through like a thriller novel. It's great. You can really enjoy those, but if it's a torrential downpour, you gotta be on edge. Not that you're not on edge already, but I met a lot of people while I was in Cleveland. I met people from Salt Lake City. I met someone from Germany, from Switzerland, and India, and I sort of felt like a man who travels the world, in a silly way, because that doesn't make me cultured, because I don't know much outside of the Midwest. And I did stop by a middle of nowhere fast food restaurant on the way back, and I've always thought I admired sort of redneck culture, but I did not care for this one. It was sort of like the kind of the group of people who, I don't know, it was bizarre. I didn't get a very positive or welcoming vibe, and I always felt like I liked redneck culture because, generally speaking, I always thought they were very welcoming, but that just did not appear to be the case in this instance. Class was kind of rough this week, because the teacher, he was the same as last week, and he was a great guy, and when he was teaching, I felt like I did learn a lot, but he didn't teach a whole lot, and it made me a little, I don't know. Remind me hold on just a second. Hold on, let me hit the pause button really quick. Yeah, y'all don't need to know what I'm reminding myself to do on my cell phone. And I was a little nervous by the end of the week that I really didn't learn anything. And I think in retrospect, I did learn more than I feel like I did, which hopefully is the case. I do feel more and more comfortable with the equipment that I'm looking at. But, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm ready to get back to sites and working hard. And, it's a great job, and I have a great opportunity to do well. There were some people in the class that I did not care for. Really only one guy that I particularly did not care for. We're just going to call him, there's no way he's going to find this. He doesn't even know my real name. But, let's just call him Fozzie. Okay, and he just was kind of arrogant. I don't know. He talked down to people, and one of the guys in my group, we're going to call him Pac-Man. We're going to call him Pac-Man. Pac-Man really liked to go slow and explore every option, while Fozzie liked to get things done quickly. And in Fozzie's defense, Pac-Man did slow stuff down a lot, and sometimes it became extremely difficult to complete stuff, and we ended up getting off track. But at one point, Fozzie just started yelling and cussing, and it made me pretty uncomfortable. So, I don't know. It was just, I was just standing off to the side, and, I work with Pac-Man, like, where I live, and so, yeah, it's gonna be, just thinking a million thoughts a moment now. That's kind of depressing. Oh, you gotta bring this back. Let's bring it back. Basically, the two of them, it didn't really resolve. They didn't resolve their grievances. They just learned to live with it. I do think Fozzie's points were warranted, but at the same time, I think the way he handled it was a little uncalled for. So I think he could have handled it in a better way. So that's that. I doubt I'll ever see him again. And when I met the dude from Germany, I felt like I was acting pretty obnoxious, and I feel really guilty about it, and I can only take comfort in the fact that I'll probably never see him again, and I don't think he knew my name. There was this one waitress who was asking about how I'm getting married and everything, and said it's not going to work out because I don't know my fiance's blood type. So I call her, and she doesn't even know her own blood type, and I don't even know my own blood type. So I guess we're you know, when we're in divorce court and stuff, I'll be kicking myself, thinking, man, had I only known her blood type, this marriage might have been able to be salvaged. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I gotta stop worrying so much. I worry about a lot of random stuff that I heard good advice from people. Excuse me while I yawn. About how, man, just, what can you say? Like, half the stuff you worry about is over stuff that probably isn't even gonna happen. It might, but you'll deal with it then. And I can say those words, but they can be difficult to make happen. So, that's that. What does that mean? What is Andy Drive teacher video steak? Try Andy. Oh, well, this one dude, we'll call him Andy Bernard because that's who he reminded me of. He was crazy. And, the Andy Bernard, Fozzie, and I went out to dinner the last night we were there. And I got a pretty decent steak. I might tweet it out later. Probably not, though. I might start tweeting out these episodes, but that would imply that they're actually good or something. And there are people I know who listen to this, so it may not be the best idea to be doing that. But, okay, hold on. How many miles away, though, is that? I'm making a plan. Hey, James, why don't you do that not while... Wouldn't it be a better idea to plan while you're not doing a podcast? Like I said, no one's listening to this anyway, so what difference does it make? But when Andy Bernard and Fozzie and I were going out, Andy Bernard volunteered to drive because he doesn't drink anymore. He gave us that spiel. But he was still super enthusiastic about going out with the guys because when he drove, he put his car in sports mode and really started zooming by. And I always thought, you know, when I'm driving and I see someone zoom by and I think, wow, that guy's kind of a jerk, we were that person that time. And I had two beers at the time, so I was kind of loosened up about it, and he cut off another Kia, and he said, look at that car. He's going to give me a look when we pass. And sure enough, he did. Like clockwork, he timed it just like that. And, I kind of felt like a jerk, but I wasn't the one driving. And I was just hoping that we didn't wind up getting in a wreck. That said, there was this horrible thing going on there. These boys who were throwing rocks off of overpasses and hurting people, and some of them are getting charged with murder, as they should, because it's absolutely insane and nuts, and like you shouldn't be doing that. Here in Cincinnati, they didn't catch boys who were doing it now down by the business district, but they were doing it by Kentucky, and they caught them. So thank goodness for that. I mean, it's a lack of values to be throwing rocks over an overpass and not realizing. Apparently when they were asked about it, they just said they were bored. Today's the don't want to do that. Today's the 20th anniversary of the Columbine massacre, and good thing it's on a Saturday, because it was an extremely horrific event, and it just seems like the kind of thing that might inspire copycats. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Wait and see, exactly. The steak I had was pretty good. Today, my lady and I, we met with our officiant for the wedding, someone with whom I go back a while, and, excuse me, it went well. I was really nervous about having to communicate what it is we were doing and how it's going to go. Um, it was. I feel very confident about the officiant we picked. Also, we tasted our food this morning. And so we go into the catering place. They have this desk out on the left, this table out on the desk with 2 dining tables set up with ice water glasses. And I didn't realize we were basically having a meal at 10 in the morning, so I'm glad I didn't eat breakfast. But the dirty little secret about me is I can eat regular food for breakfast. Like, if it were up to me, I could happily have, like, a bowl of chili or a grilled cheese. I guess people have grilled cheese for breakfast, but I'm happy to have more savory stuff. Or pasta, like today we had pasta, salad, linguine, and penne, or whatever it's called. The food's gonna be fine. It's gonna be just fine. Yeah. I hope I don't sound discouraged. Like, I'm crashing. When we met our officiant at a coffee shop, and I drank some coffee, and, man, this is really interesting hearing this guy talk about how he reacts to caffeine so easily. You know what? That's who I am. And if you don't like it, you probably should have. I mean, you probably didn't make it this long anyway, but, you know, it is what it is. I wrote down first. I don't know what that means. But yeah, I'm kind of jittery from that. I had Chipotle probably 6 times while I was up there because you get this per diem amount of food when you're out traveling, and you know, it's some good stuff. They give you way more than what I would expect to have, and so, you know, yeah, I should. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, like I said, I was given much more. I'm having a million thoughts a second, and I'm getting off on a tangent. It was a good show last week. This one is really going off the rails, but it is what it is. Let's change subjects. So tonight I am going to a certain college across the river, because you guys know David. David's been on this show before. David asked me if I wanted to help out with a project, a video project. I think he still has some ties because he graduated with a degree in multimedia and whatnot. So he still has some ties over there. And so he's going to be doing that. And I think I'm acting for it, and I brought some separate outfits. Last night I drank a lot. Though you have an open bar at a hotel, and I've got to put it down for a little bit, but I don't want to make a big deal out of it because I think that's the way to get really annoying about your drinking is when you talk about it all the time. And I do think that I've kind of been the kind of person who talks about it all the time and annoys people, especially my significant other. So, I think I'm gonna give it up after my birthday all the way until my bachelor party, which is, let's see, you guys don't need to know what day I was born, but I can't really do this. So, June 12th to September, so let's see. Let's say then it'll be a week before, so it's June, July, August, June, July, August. So really it's only 3 months, but that'll be a nice little break to give myself, but I want to not tell anyone about it and just see what direction that goes in. Because I fell apart really with Lent. I originally planned on it, but as I said earlier in the show, I'm not Catholic. I just like the tradition of it. And since I fell apart with that, I think I need to do a little more than what I did before. Plus, it'd be nice to just give my body the way of living that I had before when I was a young child, when I didn't mess up it feels good to feel good. And actually there was an elliptical. I think I talked last week about how the place where I did training had an elliptical and a shower so I was able to work out prior to class every day. But the gym in my hotel was opened. I thought it was closed. But their elliptical was much more intense, and when I work out, I'm not much of a sweater. I just try to get my heartbeat up above 160 and sustain it for 30 minutes. Normally it takes 5 to get up, 5 minutes to get it up that high. But I felt like I got a good workout every day. But when I stepped on the scale at the end of the week, I pretty much maintained my weight. But I think the extra effort I was putting into that workout all... how do I say this? Oh, jeez. It's been really quiet. I'm going to have to normalize that spot of it. Basically, made up for it in the fact that I had been eating like garbage. I'd been eating a lot of food. All the food was catered in. You could get seconds and thirds, and I definitely did. And I ate Chipotle a lot, which, while it isn't, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad for you. It's not good for you. And, no, he can't. That's really dark. It's still a lot of calories. It's just a lot of food. It's the quantity of it that I was eating. So, do with that information what you will. How much time do I got left here? I'm going to have to go back and normalize that amount of time, because I don't know if anyone's going to be able to hear that. Yeah. And that, I'm getting interested in the presidential election. You know, it's DNC. It's, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. You know, I see people post certain stuff on Facebook. It seems a little bit could harm your ability to get employed. And you post stuff like, you can't start drinking at noon. But then again, then again, I'm the same kind of person who records this, but I don't use my real identity, and no one listens to this anyway, unless some like really famous, if some really famous YouTuber ever took this and like made fun of it as something. Like, listen to how horrible this one dude is. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was so true. When we were 7, we could barely tie our shoes, but they expected us to be professional phlebotomists just to drink milk. Those bags of milk they would give you, what was the deal? What's the deal with those bags of milk? I mean, is this stuff weird or what? Yeah, that was really dumb. I don't know whose idea that was. Yeah, that was a humorous thing, a humorous situation. When it's in your birthday and a bunch of the restaurant's employees, yeah, that's annoying. I think they can sing Happy Birthday now. It used to be you couldn't do that. The shark washed ashore. I don't wonder how long ago that was. Well, this was a really rough show this week. I mean, it's never good, but even by my standards, it was a rough one. But hey, it's done. Oh my gosh, that's really funny. I'm about ready to go get some dinner before I have to go do this, help out with this video project. We will see how it goes, and hopefully it'll give me something to talk about next week. So I look forward to seeing how it goes, and, you know, hopefully it goes well and is a positive experience. Well, it is a pretty cool video. Now I'm just sitting on my phone, and wow, that is really, really neat. Gotta hand it to you, physics. You can be pretty interesting sometimes. Oh shoot, did it stop recording? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, like I said, gotta admit it, physics, you guys can be pretty interesting. Alright, thank you for listening. See you next week.